you can have a look at the IPO calendar and say, right, TWG is coming up, June is coming up, CDTG is coming up. If I were to trade these, this is something where I would do a little bit of investigation on the stock itself, because I think there are IPOs and there are IPOs. Given that you have to put a financial statement together in order to list, you have to prove that your finances are in order. Necessarily that all IPOs do have their finances in order. So biotechs, for example, have a crazy burn rate of cash. All they're doing is investing and spending, into whatever kind of drug or phase trial that they're doing at that point in time. So they can't really put a case together for financials, right? They have to use other things. They have to show their clinical data, what it is on their side. They think they're going to get funding from investors and obviously the public. The question is, in the biotechs, how much funding do they get from institutions versus how much of it is funded purely on the retail side? Given that we have pump and dumps on biotechs, you can make your own decisions on that. But I think there may be a lot of retail investment on biotech IPOs that end up in a similar place to every other pump and dump. When you do look at those financials and you look at their revenue versus their spend, their net looks good, their business case looks good, their product looks good, then that's more likely something that you could look for. As to say, this has probably got longer legs than the first day to the long side. So I think I'd definitely do a little bit more investigation on that, and we can talk about where that might be possible to do. In fact, if we just went back to got a lot of Nasdaq's stocks going off in my ear right now. Sorry about that. Let's have a take a look at stock analysis. So yeah, just same stocks obviously coming up for the week, but you can click into kind of any one of these and then just have a quick look and see what their market cap is, what their revenue is, what their net income is. And even this one has got a net income revenue of 11.7 million, but a net income of 2.43 million. So they're doing something with that, the best part of 10 million there, aren't they? So that doesn't immediately look like a great financial case when you look at that. But if you look at something like Reddit, you're going to have a lot better picture to go through here. But I'd be looking at basically what they're expecting to put out. That includes primary and secondary. The float, if you look at the float, which generally isn't populated on day one, the float is actually what's available to the public to trade. So if the float is out of 29 million, the float might actually be only 10 million because 19 million of it is already taken by the primary group and the insiders, the management and the directors of the company. So again, if the float is a micro float, a nano float, if it only ends up being kind of 2 million shares they're raising outside of the insiders, then that stock can literally pump just like any other small cap stock. And that's essentially what it is. IPO or not, it will probably just pump and dump if that's kind of what you're looking at. A small cap low float raise is going to just be a pump and dump generally, so you need to watch out for that. Whereas bigger raises, if we're offering kind of 10 million shares, 20 million shares coming out, then that's one that you've probably got more alongside potential on. It's not always the case. Every stock is kind of different. I think MNDR is one. Is MNDR what was we looking at there? Is MNDR just checking MNDR for a second to see if it was an IPO. Yeah, MNDR. So we're looking at MNDR. That is an IPO, has got upside. So I'm just treating this on day one like any other low in the market and saying, right, it's got a benchmark at between 13 and 9, and it can go up to 20, for this push up. Buy side liquidity pool is there. I'll just track it exactly the same. But looking at MDR, which we can do tomorrow, we can use this as an example. We can have a look at what their kind of fundamentals are versus Reddit, say, and just how we trade it different. But this is certainly a mobile health network solution. It's not necessarily a biotech. It's providing services in that space. It may be treated a little bit different on the financials, but we could have a look at that tomorrow and see what we've got. Yeah, but for the minute, I don't really trade them any different if I wasn't to trade them to how I trade a small cap.
How long does it take for your liquidity pools to register? So it looks like you're on the hourly chart. So maybe that's like 48 hours or 25 hours, 24 hours or something like that.
Immediately the action kicks off pretty much. Yeah, so each of these, so if I was trading this on day one, the first thing I'd be looking for is buy side pull there. So literally, so the first push it ever had on the 1 minute or 2 minute chart, I would be looking across here and kind of extending that out. I don't know if we do tap into it on MNDR, but yeah, pretty much. Oh yeah, there we do. The first day, not a lot is going on there for me. I would obviously do the sell side because there may be a trade on the sell side. With this action, I can't give you a decent benchmark on the stop off of this sketchy price action on the open, so I couldn't do anything about. The most I could do is draw that high in. It's actually just exactly what we've done on PLL, which we've just got stopped out on, or at least I have, at 70 at 17.20. Is pulling that first swing and say, right, this is going to be the high of the IPO day, then the minimum I kind of want to happen. So yeah, then I'd be playing it sell side to buy side, and then I'd give it up for the day. So literally the trade would be the short at 760 and covering it somewhere near 640, 650 as it taps into that in the session. And then I start the day like any other. I'd be bringing this in and running benchmarks off it like I have done. No different really to anything else. It's just a little harder to grab that first piece of information to work from. But generally, it still works out for me that no upside can come in until you break and close above that sell side, and that's it. Then comes back, grabs the next pool of buy side, and off it goes. But we can take a look a little bit more tomorrow and perhaps compare a Reddit with MNDR or another biotech that's gone out lately. All right, so that's our segment on IPOs. Trader Life saying trading an IPO is like playing roulette. Yeah, it's, I'd kind of agree with that in the first instance. But, right, let's have a look at what happened on a little recap on, or not a recap, but so this looked, where are we? So this looked absolutely beautiful, and this is why I can't keep so much emphasis on the tape at these side pulls. I love that pattern there into a benchmark. My only issue is, like I said, I've got levels above. We held that sell side, which was beautiful. We come back. I didn't like that close of 17. We then held the buy side again. So that is kind of like, right, buy side's holding. If that happens, then sort of fail to go higher, which is what we've just done there. So another push up. And for me, this is how many more times do I want to try this? All I'm going to do now is I'm not going to short this again. I'm going to draw in now the next buy side liquidity pool that can hold if it needs to come down, if it wants to come down, to utilize that buy side. So yeah, whether or not it wants it, but as much as we've just taken out all the short stops at this point, I don't know what you're thinking, Trader Life, but all the short stops have probably been taken out, including my own on that. So you could get a harder flush here, but that's what I kind of said about the second entry that I went in for. So now it's like, okay, well, I need something more then. I need something more. So this is the kind of thing where I want to buy side to fail before I can get in, or I'm going to look at those. I'm going to look at a VWAP. So the same, we've held VWAP. Yep, I'm seeing some red, but now it's not enough for me to short it right now anyway. Perhaps later on today, but I still think this is going to be pushed a little bit more throughout the session.